Hello and start over. Hello and welcome to the Underground Network. This is the first time that I will be. I have not given any notice on Facebook, so underground.net/live now. Okay, I usually let people know that I'm on before, but today I am so unprepared with what's going on. So that's a good test. Maybe you guys can help me pick a subject and talk about it. Well, Bernie Sanders is running for president in the United States of America, and I will not lie to you. I don't know much about him. I mean, I do know a few things about him, but what I do know is that in Vermont, where he is governor, he hired this economist named Stephanie Kelton, and she is one of my favorite analysts and economists who really is a proponent of policies that have full employment, sovereign currency at the basis of every sort of a policy. I mean, America does have the dollar, so even though it's issued by the Fed, who is not controlled by the government, still the dollar is a national, is a sovereign currency. It means that if the only legal entity who can print dollars are the United States of America. So that's enough to define a sovereign. That's enough to make it a sovereign currency. Now, whether the United States of America do or implement the policies that they are able to and that they could be implementing with the dollar is another question, because we all know that austerity has not spared the United States. We know that there is a vanishing middle class. So indeed, even though the dollar is a sovereign currency, is a world currency, and it's the currency that is used everywhere for trade, it's a worldwide currency. At the same time, it is also a national currency. So what you hear everywhere, whether it's on a local level, on level of the states, or whether it's on a federal level, you hear about cuts, you hear about balancing budgets, as if federal budgets or a country's budget are equal to a household budgets, and these are completely different things. So you hear all this whole philology around it, that government needs to have balanced budget, needs to have primary surpluses, needs to basically cut money from somewhere in order to have those primary surpluses, which is all nonsense, because the government is the issuer of, if it's a sovereign currency like the dollar, the U.S. government is the issuer of the U.S. dollar, so it basically is capable of issuing dollars and throwing it into the real economy, creating investments, creating jobs, and then have the economy sort of make its healthy cycle, instead of going through this whole financial system and the lending and the payments of interests, and we've all become slaves of our credit cards and of our interest that we have to pay on credit cards. And so anything we need to pay in our lives, in our daily lives, go through what Michael Hudson calls a toll booth of a toll booth. So the credit card in the financial system is like a toll it's like a toll booth, where we're paying basically indirectly what we need, instead of giving the money directly to what we're buying, to the business that we're buying something from. We always go through the financial system and through the banks, and that sort of poisons the economy and puts a big cloud around it and doesn't let it function properly and healthily. So bottom line, if Bernie Sanders, who decided, I think a couple months ago, to to include Stephanie Kelton and her team in Vermont in the budget committee. I'm hoping that she will be part of economic policy in his running campaign, and hopefully she can put forward some strategy for, you know, a new chapter in this world, and a new chapter in the United States, and the implementation of new policies that will give back purchasing power to the people, will give back revenues, will give back employment. If that happens in the United States, through people like Stephanie Kelton, if ever Bernie Sanders gets elected, then there is hope for the rest of the world to follow. I mean, this was my thought yesterday, and I tweeted about it, and I got a lot of responses. So for those who are watching this for the first time, I have made the entire speech of Stephanie Kelton, a speech that she gave at the Rimini Convention in February 2012, where she explains what sovereign currency means, what a national currency or what a sovereign currency means in real simple words. I did do a transcript of her speech, and I made it rather artistic video about this, so you can watch it on underground.net. YouTube.com/underground.net is that video. It's called How Money Works, and it's the first of a series of video that hopefully will follow in the future, but it is Stephanie Kelton's speech in Rimini, and I made like a sort of transcript of that speech. So let me post. Oh my God, it's hard to be posting on Facebook while you're live. So I will do that, and I will go on. Someone just connected, and I have to see who is there saying hello. And this is William, of course. Hi, William. I thought I knew it was going to be you. I have to say that Harry Master George, who was here yesterday, was incredibly pleased and moved by your comments. Some of you who wrote comments and asked questions and thanked him for his presence here. He promised to come back. He really liked being here in this platform, having this first experience of the platform. He couldn't figure out how we are going out live, because he said, I was showing him, you know, I'm broadcasting through the phone on YouTube Live. So he was, and before we got online, he was wondering, where is the camera? So I said, my iPhone is the camera. So anyway, it was interesting to see. He loved it. He thought that this was actually something very useful. And I said, Harry, in a few weeks from now, probably, you could be going live on your phone if you want to and talk about acting. But the interesting part is he has so many stories about Hollywood, about, you know, very, very, very old stories, even about New York, directors, actors, and these are treasures that I really want to have on record. So I'm hoping Harry will be back here soon. So someone is here too from the island of Crete. Hello, I don't know your name. Yes, so I mentioned Bernie Sanders and Stephanie Kelton and a series of other economists I've mentioned in the past, Michael Hudson. But yeah, let me just talk a little bit about America, since I'm so unprepared today, and I will make this exception and not talk about Greece that much. Of course, I will talk about Greece at some point. It's hard not to, but I wanted to say that Hillary Clinton, it's the first time yesterday after the show, I had a discussion with Harry, and I was telling him that it makes it really hard for people who, you know, don't really don't want to be polarized and belong to a specific party in any country. And I'm taking myself I'm speaking on behalf of myself, but because I happen to be able to vote in both America and the United States, because I'm also an American citizen, but I'm Greek. I don't consider myself American, by the way. I consider myself Greek culturally. I'm entirely Greek. I just happened to be born in America, but I have the same rights in America and in Greece. So this is an interesting experience, because having lived both there and here, and also in France, and also in Turkey, and some time also spent in Italy, quite a lot of time actually. The interesting part is that in every country there is this sort of polarization, usually left, right, Republican, Democrat, or whatever the names, Labour and Tories in the UK, whatever the names of the Conservative Party is, whatever the name of each country has for its main bipolar system, two-party system. So it's very hard for people who really do not want to get into this sort of logic of, oh, whatever Democrats say are good, or whatever Republicans say, it doesn't matter, or whatever the left says in Greece, for example. Yes, I'm a leftist, so I'll go with them, or the right. So for normal people, for people who really don't care and don't want to go into this duality and just look at facts, it's very, very hard to go and vote. And this is another thing. At the same time, I believe in people participating in the democratic process. We have to vote. We have to. If we don't vote, then really then we're really doing nothing. On the other hand, a lot of people say, and I can't blame them, that if we do vote, but we're not, we're almost forced to vote, like we're voting for someone in order for the other party not to be elected. There are people who believe that this is wrong, and that we should not sort of go and validate something or vote something else just to get rid of something else. So because it's not really represents our belief either. So some people, and there's a lot of people who have expressed that publicly. One of them is the actor Russell Brand, who 2 years ago said it on TV that he's never voted, and I was like, what? You can't be political and say I don't vote. This is wrong. Yet, I mean, he does have a point, because it's almost like you're being constrained and you're being forced to go validate something that you don't really even wholeheartedly believe in. So yesterday when I was talking with Harry, I was saying I have a huge problem with Hillary Clinton. Let's say, because we're talking about the Democratic Party and who's running, and I said if I were to vote Democratic and I would have the choice, and I said it's probably, I don't want to validate, because I know a role that she's played in the Middle East. I know the relationships that she's had in the past in Egypt and the Muslim Brotherhood, and her share of responsibility in Libya, and so I can't validate that. Presumably, I was voting Democratic Party, or so and Harry stopped me and said, no, but. If you don't go vote, then wacky people are going to be in power. Wacky people who believe that, women should have no right to abortion and all these things, like the other party and stuff. So you can't, you have to be careful. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a blackmail here. So anyway, I said, I'm going to go vote, and probably just, I will vote white, as we say in Greek, or blank. I will not validate any of the two parties. And he said, no, that's not good, because again, you're not participating. So I was like, this is too much of a pressure. And then just while we were having this conversation, I go on my Twitter and I read the news that Bernie Sanders is running. So I said, okay, I will look more closer in what he's done, who he really is. I'm not going to lie to you. I have not, done my work today. I have not researched, but I just know that He was the one who called Stephanie Kelton. I will say her name as many times as I can so that people just remember her. So he called her in his team in Vermont, and she's an amazing economist, and she simply says it like it is. She is a star in her field. A lot of people call her a star economist. She makes, if you remember what Harry Masterdor said yesterday, well, at the closing, he said, keep things simple. So Stephanie Kelton, in her field, in the economic science, she's keeping things simple, and it's so, to people like me who had no relationship whatsoever with economics, she really opened my eyes and helped me understand a whole other world, which I had no relations with, and no relationship with, no relation to. And not only did she open that world, but she also sort of helped me get sort of passionate about it. So anyway, that was the whole Bernie Sanders and idea. William George says Hillary, warts and all, in the end is what the Democrats will do. Really, William? Ugh. Aki says, hi there. Is the audio cracking a bit, or is it just me? Uh-oh, I don't want to get into the same problems we've had last week, so let me just check the audio. Oh, it is cracking. Okay, so I know what I need to do. I need to unplug this. I need to unplug the sound and plug it back in. So just give me a second. Don't you love the live platform? That's good, right? Hey, I fixed it for once. I didn't have to call anybody from the other room. Okay, I fixed it. You can't complain. I'm becoming a tech person. I will, yeah. Okay, the audio should not be crackling anymore. So the sound is slower. That, I don't know. Let me know if the sound is slower, because that's another issue. Okay, so anyway. Should we get into the Greek issues? I mean, again, I am so unprepared, but I'm so unprepared. Oh my God, I'm still posting on Facebook, so you probably, let's see how many of you really get connected without Facebook. Oh, okay, that's not bad. So I was just saying that in terms of not being prepared, I just went on Twitter, and it's always the best way to make up for not being prepared. And again, you have these wonderful polls that came out today, and the polls say, give me a second and I will tell you exactly what they say. Yes, we love the live platform. Okay, it's fine now. Have you tried turning it on and off again? That is probably someone who's watching regularly. RUDXAI. Yes, you've been watching regularly. Yeah, plug it off and on again. I did that. It works. So basically, Twitter says the following. There is a poll again who did it, MegaTV. MegaTV poll, this very reliable TV channel owned by one of the oligarchs. So GPO poll for MegaTV. This was the question. Remain in the euro at all costs. They love to ask the question that way. 75.6% of the people voted yes. They want to remain in the euro at all costs. I mean, we must be an insane country on top of everything else, except for the fact that we are tax evaders, we are, what's the other word? We are lazy, we're thieves, we're tax evading, we are no good, we produce nothing. What else are we? We are corrupt. Now we are also completely insane, and it's and we answer when they ask us, do you want to remain in the euro at all costs? 75% of us, almost 76% of us say, yes, I want to remain in the euro at all costs. I want to remain in the euro at all costs. I am crazy and everything else they tell me, so I want to remain in the euro at all costs. I wish they would ask why right after, but I guess they don't. Then the next question was no to referendum on deal with lenders. Oh, so they asked, how did they, I wonder, how did they phrase it? Would you say, did they phrase it like this? Would you say no to referendum on deal with lenders? And, oh no. What do you think? That's the question they probably asked, because it's the way they've tweeted this is really horrible. The question must have been, do you want a referendum on deal with lenders? Whatever that means. What kind of referendum is that? What kind of referendum does a country do? So I'm gonna have a deal with lenders. Do you want it or not? Can that be a referendum? I thought that oops, my other stream got disconnected. What's going on here? Hold on. I don't want to save a stream. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, stream. Today is a very, very interesting day, isn't it? Once again. So I was saying, okay, can you imagine they call you on the phone and they tell you, do you want a referendum on the deal with the lenders? No, I don't want a referendum on the deal with the lenders. You know, countries make referenda really not very often. I think they make them every 40 years. I mean, if you're in Switzerland, you probably have a referendum on every single thing, I hear, from what I hear. But other countries, I think Greece hasn't had a referendum since 1974 when it voted, do you want the king or not? And people voted no, they didn't want the king. It was clear, but that's like a big referendum. So what kind of question is that MegaTV channel asking people, do you want a referendum on the deal with the creditors? So anyway, 61.9%, 62% of the people said, no, we don't want a referendum on a deal with the creditors. I can't even remember that sentence. Anyway, and then the other question was, do you want snap elections? And how about elections? Just snap elections? Do you want snap elections? 72.2 said no. So people don't want elections, don't want a referendum on a deal with lenders, and they want to remain in the euro at all costs. Conclusion, Greeks are, except for everything else, insane. Great. So of course this has been promoted by all the favorite little Twitter parrots here. Oh, there's another question. Do you agree with Prime Minister Tsipras' negotiating strategy? Almost 58.3% responded yes. Wow. Well, should I say that we're also a little, I'm not going to say the word, but wow, they agree with what Tsipras is doing, 60% of the Greek people. Well, at least there's an improvement. 90% agreed with Tsipras back in February. Of course, at the time, they hadn't really realized what he was really doing. At least now we see that he lost about 30% of the trust of the people, because at least 30% of people now understand what he's up to. So that's good. And now, there's how many, do you agree if with his negotiating strategy? About 40% said no, they don't agree. So 40%, if 40% do not agree with Prime Minister Tsipras' negotiating strategy, and at the same time, 80% want to remain in the euro at all costs, what is the conclusion here? Because he wants to remain in the euro at all costs. He said it. He doesn't even talk of a plan B. There is no plan B. This is going to be it. 2 days ago, he gave a interview on TV on a private TV station, because, you know, this is how we do it. You're a big prime minister and you go on some stupid program on TV. Might as well come to Underground Network. We're pretty legit. We're becoming pretty legit. You know that? Mr. Tsipras, come to Underground Network. I will ask you the right questions. Because when you went to that program the other day, which had simultaneous translation into English, the program was on a Greek channel with a journalist called Hadzi Nicolaou, and they made sure to have a simultaneous English translation specifically for the journalists who, of course, Greece is at the center of attention, has been for the last 5 years, because we know if Greece gets out, exits the euro, returns to national currency, the whole world will crumble, that's for sure. Greece will not, but the whole world will crumble, I bet you. So that's why they had a simultaneous translations for the journalists, foreign journalists. And I was like, he was so bad. He was just so bad. The Prime Minister of Greece. I was embarrassed, and I was like, why did you have a simultaneous translation into English? At least when we hear what he's saying, and when we know what he's talking about, the way he speaks, you know, at least we can keep it at home. But now, no, you had to make the simultaneous translation into English, and that's a big embarrassment. And I was really wondering, all the journalists who were listening to Tsipras live, I was thinking of poor Podemos people who thought in Spain or in Italy that Tsipras was this leader, this charismatic leader that will save Europe. I was like, oh no, please don't be watching this program right now, because the whole, you know, as much as I don't care about Tsipras, still as a country you don't want to be embarrassed. So he was an embarrassment. He didn't know what he was talking about. Not to mention the way he the way he used the language and the words was utterly disturbing. And my Greek is not even perfect, but still, but except for that, he had this, whenever he didn't want to answer a question, he would just sort of like be so vague and get back to the wooden tongue and just answer in very cliche sort of sentences, and he completely did not answer the question that the journalist was asking him. If you go to a referendum, what will that be? And he, of course, started saying other things. He didn't give an answer. He was asked this 5 times. What will the question be? What will the question be about the referendum? And then the Prime Minister was talking about the budget, and then the journalist told him, we can't have a question in a referendum that talks about budgets or, you know, anything related to budgetary policy, you know. But so he was not answering the question. So that's why we don't have the real question for the referendum, because it's so taboo that Tsipras could not utter the question. So he never answered that question. What will the question be for the referendum? Can you answer the question? Can you find what the question would be? Let's think about it. Wouldn't the question be, do you want to be inside the Eurozone or outside the Eurozone? Wouldn't that be the question? Is it so hard to figure it out? Or is it that you don't want to bring it up? Because the entire interview was spent to say that that's the deeper meaning was, and that's what Tsipras was saying over and over again, but that's also the way the journalist was directing his questions over and over again, was basically to say, we were voted to stay in the euro. We were voted to stop the policies within the euro. And this is false. No, you were voted to stop austerity no matter what. But even more than that, I think the right interpretation of you're being elected, Mr. Tsipras, was what people voted for is to end the occupation of the country. Call it economical occupation. it's an occupation. We don't see the army, we don't see the tanks, we don't see the army, which is a problem. And that's why we've been there 6 years and we're still under the authority of foreign tutelage and foreign rule. So we don't see this army, but people voted to get rid of that invisible economic army. That's what they voted for. I'm not even sure. It's way beyond austerity. They didn't only vote against austerity. They voted against being under occupied, invisible occupied forces. That's what they voted for. So if you have issues figuring it out, just make sure to call Underground Network. I guess that was the whole meaning. Now, speaking of this journalist, disgrace. You're a disgrace. You're disgraceful. You're horrible. You're horrible. All your questions, Mr. Hadjinicolaou, were directed toward you're not serious with Europeans. And I'm not saying they are, because yes, of course, they have screwed up. They are screwing up daily, on a daily basis, royally, on every matter. I mean, you can't really frame it, it's so bad. But of course, and I don't support the European partners, but the journalist was sort of implying, at some point he said it. He said, but wouldn't you want to get rid of those voices in your party, inside your party, those disturbing voices? The voice of Mr., he brought a couple names. I'm forget. Oh, Lapavitsas. These are people who are inside Syriza, are the voice of the national currency. So wouldn't you want to get rid of those people who go out on TV? And he actually made those kind of gestures. That's the journalist asking the questions. Wouldn't you like, Mr. Tsipras, to get rid of those guys who go out on TV every day on shows and talk about? Wouldn't you want to agree with everybody else, with all the other parties, like the nice little parties that were there before for 40 years, like New Democracy and PASOK, and now the new party, Topotami? Like, wouldn't you want to be all together and agree on something? Because, that's what that's what the goal is. I need some water. Anyway, Maria says, it's not slower, you speak and I see you in delay. I don't know how to write it. The IT crowd. Okay. Good afternoon, Katerina. By the way, Lipstick Problem audio is ahead of video. Ugh, boy. Great. I feel like Italian cinema of the 60s. I guess I have to call the people in the other room. That sucks. All right. Will you give me 2 minutes? I have to go to the other room and call someone to help me with the delay. Ugh. All right. Let me see if they can come. Can you come here? There is a delay. All right. What can I do? There's no way I can wait for the image to play and then speak later. It must be funny to see me like an Italian film of the 50s. Okay, so William says the Greek people voted to end the economic occupation of Greece. Okay, yes, the Greek people voted to end the economic occupation of Greece. That's exactly the right wording, William. And also, I'm hoping that the American people at some point vote to end austerity in America, because it's absurd to have austerity with a national currency. Okay, I just wanted to fix the delay thing, but I guess no one is listening to me. They have a meeting in the other room. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. It'll be in Greek, so some of you I will see next Monday. Keep up the good work. Keep watching Underground Network. Please subscribe, underground.net/ no, it's not that. It's youtube.com/underground network. I will be back here tomorrow. Thank you for your messages, and sorry about the technical issues. All right, everybody. See you later. Bye.